But Luka Doncic, if Dallas goes 5-2 the rest of the way, that puts them right at the 50-game line. They could very well go 7-0, mind you. But if they go 5-2, and that puts them at 50, I don't think that gives them home court in the first round, which could sort of skew everything, like 5-seed MVP. But you would have to give Luka Doncic serious MVP consideration. When you think about his numbers from January, 34 points, 10.3 assists, 9.8 rebounds. I know the triple-double has gotten really skewed because, honestly, Russell Westbrook turned it into something that it really hasn't been, and there's been more of a value on it than perhaps it should be. Like, I'm not a fan of voting for a guy because of the number 10. Like, Luka averaging 9 rebounds compared to averaging 10 isn't going to make me want to vote for him anymore. But Dallas, being the most clutch team in the league, when clutch is as defined as NBA.com is defined as games within 5 points or less with 5 minutes to go with a game, and they're the best clutch team in the league, that puts Dallas in the spot where you don't want to really play them in the playoff scenario because you have two guys who can create shots late, and they're starting to play really good defense. Now, the Derek Lively thing really hurts them, and you're going to have to try to find ways to compensate for the size and the length and the rebounding, which is really critical. I know rebounding doesn't sound like much of anything, but you have to complete the possession with a rebound. So like John, when he talked about, Maxi Kleber being there and Gafford and all those guys, like being able to complete the possessions is going to be really critical for Dallas. But I still think that they're a team that you don't want to play because they're so damn good late in games. And Jason Kidd has found a way to figure out some defense with these guys in the second half of this season. Not just a party crasher. I'm just saying, you probably don't want to see this team in a 7-game series. I'm sure if there's a team below the 4 line, from outside the top 3, let's just say including the Clippers, outside of Denver, Minnesota, Oklahoma City, you ask them what team they don't want to play out of the next 6, and I'm not including Houston because Houston has fallen back a little bit. They're 3 games back with, I think, 7 to play. To me, that's a bit too much ground for them to make up.
I want to ask you this question.
Sure.
I want to ask you this question.
Sure.
And then we can get to the ad break right after.
Yeah.
Dallas right now is sitting in 5th, as you said, tied with the Pelicans, who are in 6th, I'm assuming, because of head-to-head reasons. So right now, Dallas is set to play the Clippers, who are 4th. Now, if they drop to 6th, the top 3 could move around a little bit, but if they drop to 6th, there's a good chance that they end up against Oklahoma City in the first round instead of the Clippers. Now, sometimes teams will purposefully play with things to get the better matchup. So just between those two teams, if you were the Mavericks, would you rather play the Clippers in the first round or the Thunder in the first round, assuming that you could control that with your wins and losses?
I'd probably rather play the Thunder, and not just for reasons of Thunder youth and everything else, because the Thunder don't do stupid things. I think you're treading a little bit, right? Because you think of the Thunder as being this really young team that's playoff inexperienced and everything else, and you can probably take advantage of that. The Thunder don't do young, dumb shit. They don't do dumb things like turn the ball over, make bad decisions in late game situations. You even saw it last night. They just missed a couple of shots. They didn't do any young, dumb things. But if I'm on the 4-5 line and Oklahoma City is at the 3 line, and I'm assuming Denver's at the 1 line, then I want to get off that 4-5 line because I don't want to play Denver in the second round. That's why I would do it. I would try to avoid Denver as much as possible if I have my druthers. But because John, the 1, 2, and 3 could almost be decided on the last day of the season because these teams have been matched up and bunched up like this for the past 3 or 4 weeks, if not longer. I think the most that it's been has been maybe a 2.5 game spread. I want to say Minnesota was 2.5 games out and they came storming back, and now they're right in the thick of things. There's a half game between, all 3 teams. I don't think you'll be able to manipulate the last game of the season. You won't be able to manipulate it for 1, 2, and 3, but you also won't be able to manipulate it to keep yourself out of the play. And you might just have to play it and win just to keep yourself safe.
Yeah.
That's why. But Luka could very well elbow his way into some real MVP consideration, and that was not something that any of us could have expected as we close it. That's not something that any of us could have expected 2 months ago, a month ago, when they were just sitting and fiddling in the play-in